thank you for letting me present first. It's 12 o'clock here at night, so I'm going to rock it. I worked with reinforcement learning on this project because I've worked in the past, and I thought what a better opportunity to try something with LLMs and reinforcement learning. So this project is called Detox My LLM, using reinforcement learning from AI feedback. And as you can imagine, it's trying to make LLMs having less harmful content. So like here, we've all seen LLMs generating harmful content, biased content like black and white, as you can see here. And this is natural since they're trained on a large internet corpus, and internet can be a toxic place. So they reproduce these toxic patterns. Sorry, I haven't put a timer, but it's okay. I'm going to make it. So they pick up these existing toxic patterns, and even with innocent prompts, if we feed them with as innocent prompts, it's proven that they still generate toxic text. And this poses great ethical risks, from political instability to racial bias, hate, and more, as we've seen already from the internet. So we need ethical AI. It can become our way out to sanitize the information and content generation fields. So we cannot be too careful here, because LLMs are revolutionizing this field, and this is the time to align them with human principles and make the world a much better place. The goal here is to force the model to be less toxic by feeding it toxic prompts and then using reinforcement learning to detoxify it. And you may ask, why reinforcement learning? There are many benefits. It's directly optimizable. It aims at maximization instead of traditional minimization. So there is no performance ceiling. It can scale better. And it's generalizable. It's a simple recipe to train an agent for different capabilities. So a bit of insight to see the pipeline of reinforcement learning with feedback. We have on top the rollout. This is the classic LM. We give it a query, it gives back a response. First thing we do is to evaluate this query and response pair. So we use a reward model, which can be a classifier, and it gives us a reward. Now, if we go to the greater pipeline, you can see this reward being plugged in. But let's start from the left. We have the query and response. We have the active model, which is the one that we were going to optimize, and we have the reference model, and we use it to bootstrap our active model to avoid hallucinations, and to also see the shift of distribution as we optimize it. So we have our active model and reference model. We use our reward to classify the responses from the active model. We bootstrap it with some algorithms here, and then we use the reinforcement learning PPO algorithms to optimize the active model. You can ask more questions about this later. I'm going to jump to the next slide. So my ML stack, how it looks, I have found a toxic data set. It's called Real Toxicity Prompts, with 100,000 sentence snippets from the web, which are ranked with some perspective API to give them toxicity scores. Let me show. To give them toxicity scores, profanity scores, explicit. So you can see that we have a sentence, the beginning of a sentence, it says shooter for a few moments and listen up. And then we have the continuation of the sentence. Here on the left, you can see the first sentence, and in the middle, the continuation. And on the far right, the whole sentence. So we're going to try to generate the second sentence, but with less toxicity. This is what we're going to teach our model to do. And we're going to reward it for every non-toxic generation and penalize it for every toxic text that it's generating. So I'm using GPT-2. It's more humble than the bigger models. I can train it easier on Colab Pro. I generate 2 models so that I can bootstrap my optimization. I couldn't implement LoRa in this framework, but I did share layers between the 2 models. So that I froze layers in both models. This is what it means. Then I have my reward model. This model is the one that measures toxicity and assigns a reward. I have used the pre-trained Roberta model as the toxic prompt classifier. It's effective in this job, and it's pre-trained. It's readily available for this. Then we have the benchmark PPO reinforcement learning algorithm, which is going to be used for optimization. And all of this is wrapped around the awesome transform reinforcement learning Hugging Face framework. You should check it out. It's amazing, and it's run on Colab Pro 800. So this is, now you can see I trained for 250 epochs, and you can see that the reward, although it shows some large standard deviation, is increasing. So our model is learning. There are many recipes to reduce this standard deviation, but this is just the beginning now. Now you can see I trained, this is on the left, you have the original model. In the middle, you have a medium trained model, and on the right, model trained on more toxic content. In the left, you can see if we start the phrase violence against women and femicides continuing to be a major problem, the original GPT goes directly to throw the name of the country, which can be biased. Then the medium trained GPT-2 with reinforcement learning again goes to another country. Again, someone can say there is bias. The last model replies there are major problems for, these are major problems for women, and then throws something that it is kind of neutral. And these models have not been trained too much, so this is, you see that this is improving. So
3-minute warning.
Yeah, you can see here that the mean toxicity of the models has been reduced and is reducing as we train more, and so is the standard deviation of the toxicity. So I'm going to finish even earlier. We have our conclusions. We can detoxify our LLMs. We have a scalable and generalizable reinforcement learning framework to do this. We can use other AI algorithms to do this, which is the thing that makes them more scalable. Then and improving the toxicity score. With more training, further tuning, there are many ideas of how to tune a reinforcement learning agent. You can get much better performance. And finally, the cherry on top is what Anthropic AI is now doing. They're using AI models to train from the beginning a preference model, as they call it. It's the reward model, but it's much better. It's not trained on reward scores, it's trained on preference, on ranking. And this is the end of my presentation. Thank you so much. I can go to questions.